So please join me welcoming Mary with this talk about what is IBC overall.
Hi guys, my name is Mary and I am the product marketing lead for the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol at Interchain. And I am here to explain to you, possibly in a little bit simpler terms, what exactly the IBC is, how it works, and some cool stuff you can start to play with that already exists on chain today. So next slide. Next, please. Awesome. So first things first, I'm going to give you a little bit more context about what Ethan was calling the Cosmos Stack, which now people are also calling the Interchange Stack, of which IBC is a part, so that you could kind of have some context as to what we're actually talking about when we're talking about all these different tech things. The Interchain Stack is basically a suite of technology tools. And one of the things that I love about the Interchain Stack, and that a lot of people actually don't know, is that the Interchain Stack is used by some of the leading projects in the ecosystem. So it's like household names you've heard of. You've heard of B&B Chain, right? They're built on the Cosmos SDK. You've heard of Crypto.com. Their Kronos chain is built using the Cosmos SDK. You have heard of DYDX. They're here today. Hi, guys. And you've heard, and there's some really cool projects also that you might not have heard of, but when I heard a question about enterprise usage of the Interchain Stack, we have products like SoarChain. They're building a blockchain to allow smart cars to talk to each other. And then we also have Provenance Blockchain, which works with traditional finance institutions in a private blockchain setting, and they have built using the Cosmos SDK. So next slide, please. One of the other really cool things about the Cosmos and /Interchain ecosystem is that we have a very thriving and vibrant developer community. Almost 10% of all of the developers in Web3 work on Cosmos or Interchain projects. And you can see that basically like our commits over time in GitHub have had almost exponential growth. That's pretty cool. So if you decide to start a project in Cosmos, or maybe you just decide to invest in Cosmos, you know that you will be welcomed here with open arms. You'll meet people who will help you out, and you will be connected to an ecosystem of projects where people really contribute and they're always collaborating and always in open discussion. Next, please. Next slide. All right. So we've heard a little bit about what the Interchain Stack is. Here's a nice visual showing what it is comprised of. So here we have IBC, which I'm going to tell you about today. Then we have Cosmos, which is a smart contracting platform. We have the Comet BFT consensus engine. And then we have the Cosmos SDK, which is basically a code base that helps developers build Cosmos SDK blockchains. And all of these tech are currently supported through the Interchain Foundation. I'm part of the IBC team at the Interchain Foundation. The Interchain Foundation funds many distributed development teams to support the development of these technologies. Next slide. Now we're going to talk about IBC next. All right. IBC, 100 plus connected blockchains. Over $30 billion in annual asset transfer, and we go far beyond Cosmos. We are connected to Polkadot. We have Ethereum coming very soon. I believe if you are going to Cosmoverse, you're going to hear some really cool news about that. And we have never been exploited. So, I mean, like what interoperability protocol do you know that has never been exploited? Like basically us, that's it. So hooray, good job IBC. Next slide, please. A few things that make IBC different. Number one, universal interoperability. IBC is more like a language that blockchains speak together. And what that means is that they can share any type of data. So basically, they can just do way more than just send tokens to each other. They can have really rich interactions. And I'll talk to you guys later about what some of those interactions actually are. Next, IBC is totally permissionless. The code is free. It lives on GitHub. You can build with it. And also anybody can contribute to the protocol in many different ways. Finally, IBC is quite secure. We don't use any third-party trust assumptions in IBC. It is a trust-minimized system. I will talk to you about what that actually means next. All right. So if you are like newer in blockchain, newer in interoperability, this is a diagram that showcases approximately how many bridges work. This is for a lockment bridge. Not all bridges are lockment bridges, but this is a nice diagram so you can kind of get it, right? So when you think about a bridge, if you've used DeFi or crypto before, usually you go to a website, you connect your wallet, you send some tokens, and then you pray for anywhere from 2 minutes to 2 hours that like your tokens actually arrive on the other side. And then generally they do, sometimes they don't, you know, but that's generally how it works, right? What we have in most bridging protocols is we have a third party who is actually responsible for making those transactions happen. So sometimes it's a bridge validator set, sometimes tokens are going into a multi-sig wallet, right? Sometimes they're also interacting with smart contracts on either side. There's many different third parties that there can be, but there is a third party. So next slide. Now, of course, with anything with a third party, there are some issues. There's some issues. I mean, to the tune of $2 billion worth of bridge hacks in 2022 alone, there are some issues. So first things first, bridges can get hacked because of this third party thing. A hacker sees a giant pot of money sitting on one side of a chain and they're like, ching ching, I'm ready to go for it. Thing two is then we have centralized entity risk. I think multi-chain is a really good example of this. I mean, we like all woke up one day like 1 month ago and then and basically in the news it said the founder of multi-chain has been arrested and nobody can access their funds anymore. So when we have a third party who controls a lot of the access or the private keys or the funds or whatever, that just simply is a risk for anybody who uses that system. And then finally, I mean, I don't know about you, but like when I think about interoperability and third-party trust assumptions, like if I ran up to you on the street and I said, hey man, here's 100 euros, can you hold it for 45 minutes and then give it to my friend? Like, would you actually do that? No. So why are you doing it in crypto? I don't know. But with IBC, we aim to solve that basically. And the designers of IBC did it in a very creative way. So next. All right. In order to understand how IBC works, I like to use the example of shipping. This is a painting by a guy named Verny. The painting's from about 1754, and it shows a shipping port of all these ships bringing in all this different stuff. Maybe they're bringing in wheat, maybe they're bringing in fabric, maybe they're bringing in wine. Next. One of the challenges back then was that there was no standardization or continuity. So if I was sending wine from France to Spain, France and Spain might use different size barrels or different types of wine or label them differently. What we have in the 20th century is suddenly all of this stuff has been standardized. So we have shipping containers that are standardized. The size of cargo ships is standardized. So there's a common language for shipping globally. Next. And what this means is it doesn't matter what you're shipping. You can ship wine, you can ship wheat, you can ship anything you want, but you know how much is going to fit into a container, and so does your recipient on the other side. Next. That is how IBC works. So these designers of IBC, basically they looked at it and they said, how can we create standardization around the transport layer such that we can create a language where blockchains can talk about sending and receiving data in a way that makes sense. And so what they created was a standardized transport layer. And this is very different from the way other bridges work. Most bridges, like Synapse, for example, or multi-chain, they exist in a silo. So basically, they exist on their own. They can't really talk to each other. They have their own custom wiring. They have to have different smart contracts on different chains. It's rather complex, and they're not really able to communicate. They're not really interoperable among one another. However, with IBC, because we have this standardized transport layer that many chains share, we call it transport layer semantics. So basically, chains have their own instances of these elements. They can all talk to each other. They all speak the same language. Next. This is the basic structure for what the IBC looks like. I'm not going to go through all these different parts because it's like very complicated, and quite honestly, you guys are probably all taken out. But at the top, we have the application layer. And then the next 4 main pieces are what comprises the transport layer. So we have channels, connections, light clients, and then relayers. And basically, one of the really important parts of what makes IBC trust minimized is because we are using like client-based interoperability. What that means is that if Cosmos Hub and Osmosis want to send a token to each other, they can actually verify on their own that the transaction happened. There's nobody sitting in the middle saying, you should trust me that this transaction happened. It's these two blockchains directly confirming from one another's data that this actually happened. And this is what is the core of what makes IBC very secure. Next. All right. Now some cool things you can do with IBC. First, I'll talk to you about some very brief concepts, and then I'll show you some products you can actually use right now on your phone to go experiment. So first things first, one of the really interesting things that you can do with IBC is build cross-chain native smart contracts. So this is not possible in a lot of other ecosystems, but with us, it is possible. So if you're a smart contract developer, your contracts can be cross-chain native from the start. Next, you can do cool things like cross-chain account control, which is basically a fancy word for saying you can stay on one chain and perform a whole bunch of actions on other chains. But from a development perspective, what this allows developers to do is to build really unique and interesting products that leverage other chains' capabilities. And then finally, if you're a developer, we offer asynchronous communication, which basically allows you to create really cool and complex workflows that might leverage multiple smart contracts or applications. Next. All right, guys, now I'm going to show you a sampling of products that use IBC on the back end. I only chose these because you can play with them on your phone right now, and they use IBC in cool ways. So if you're not familiar with IBC, definitely try these guys out. So first is Stride. They use cross-chain natives. They have cross-chain native liquid staking that you can do in exactly one click. So unlike Lido, where you're just liquid staking on Ethereum, on Stride, you can liquid stake on any of their supported chains with one click. And that's only possible through IBC. Next. Next, we have TFM. And they offer they offer many IBC products. This is one of them. And this is their widget where you can swap from anywhere to anywhere. So, I mean, imagine if you could like very easily swap, I don't know, from Ethereum to Solana in 2 seconds, but then swap it back over 47 different chains. You can do that here. They also offer a cool widget where if you're a developer, you can customize it and then utilize this on your own app. Next. Next is Skip. They offer a custom REST RPC service also for IBC, which is a fancy way of saying they offer a utility to developers who want to do really complex IBC interactions, and they've simplified it down and made it into a utility that those developers can use. A fun thing that you can play with on your phone featuring this is their own multi-swap front end, which is at ibc.fun. So if you want to have some fun, go there. Next. All right, and then we have Quezar. And they have cross-chain native vaulting. So this is, again, really interesting and only possible via IBC. But one of the cool things about this as well is that their strategies leverage multiple chains, and everything happens really, really quickly and instantly because of IBC. There's no like weird bridging stuff, sending your tokens off into the ether. It's all very, very easy to use. Next, please. All right, guys, these are my final notes. If you are excited about the Interchain Stack, if you're excited about Cosmos, if you want some more support so you can get started, there's 2 free programs that we have that you can apply for. The first one is an incubator. So if you have an existing project and you want to take your project to the next level, the Builders Academy is an incubator for founders and their teams to support you on technical and other things. In addition, we have the Interchain Developer Academy. So if you are a developer and you are looking to upskill and learn the stack, you can join that program as well. It's 7 weeks designed to take you from novice to expert, and it is also free. So if you are interested in any of these things, feel free to take a photo. They have constant rounds of these programs all the time. Next. And that is it, guys. You've now learned about IBC, heard about some of the resources we have to offer. And finally, if you are interested in seeing how some of this IBC stuff comes to life on your own device, come to Cosmoverse, and we will be hosting a workshop on relayer fee incentivization, which is complicated, but basically, if you have your own laptop and you're a developer, you'll be able to spin up your own chain and actually experiment with doing all of this in a test setting. So please do join us there. That is it. Thank you, everyone.
Maybe some question. Is there any question?
Hi. I didn't get how general purpose IBC is going.
Could you please closer a bit?
I didn't get how general purpose IBC is going to be. Like, is the eventual goal to have an IBC connection between like Solana and Ethereum, for example? Okay, thanks.
So short answer, yes. I think an interesting thing about IBC right now is IBC currently works best with the Interchain Stack. However, the IBC teams are working towards making IBC Go in particular generic. So these are some of the workflows that will enable IBC to be more and more widely used over time. So that could be something in the future.
So to follow up, why? Because isn't it easier to have like a set of standards which make it easier? Or is the goal to have like complete general purpose? Like where do you see it eventually going towards like building standards on top of IBC? Like so that it would only work with certain blockchains?
So IBC ultimately aims to be like TCP/IP. It aims to be an information superhighway for blockchains. In an ideal world, in 20 years, all interoperability will just be IBC, and people won't even know what IBC is because it's just there.